Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Frankie, Boyle!
Hello and welcome to New World Order. This week, Ghislaine Maxwell went on trial. I don't want to prejudice anyone against her, but she did look like Cruella de Vil had turned a black Labrador into a swimming cap. Part of the northern leg of HS2 has been scrapped. It's very disappointing for people in Leeds. They were looking forward to having a new high-speed train that they could step out in front of. Boris Johnson gave a rambling speech to the CBI about Peppa Pig. I like to think that there was a mix-up with the speeches, and somewhere there's a nursery of children being told that refugees aren't welcome. Boris Johnson's dad, Stanley Johnson, has been accused of sexual harassment, so that's now 2 reasons that he should have been chemically castrated in the 1960s. There have been more revelations about MPs having second jobs. Priti Patel, for example, spends every other weekend crawling out of the television of people who will die in 7 days. Sajid Javid has said that Yorkshire Cricket Club are stuck in the dark ages, and I agree with him. Mind you, the Tory party lecturing a cricket club on how not to be racist is a bit like me lecturing Andrew Marr on how not to present his show wearing his dead mother's underwear. OK, let's go on with the show. Joining me tonight to discuss the week's big topics are Miles Jupp, Sophie Dukin and Kerry Pritchard the Flame. Hiya, good week?
Hectic, very hectic.
What have you been up to?
My second job, which is down at Peppa Pig World. I work there. I'm sort of interning at the moment as Daddy Pig, and if it goes really well, they're going to give me a costume. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
What about you, Kerry? What have you been up to?
Big news. I live on a farm in Wales, as some of you may know. Got to keep the chickens in. There's bird flu, and there's like a government thing that's like, lock up your chickens. And it's so hardcore, because the rest of the time it's like very adorable. Got 4 little rescue chickens. They lay an egg every day, which started off lovely and is now fucking appalling. Because you're just committed to having 4 eggs every day. And if you skip a day, you can have 8 eggs. Do you know what 8 eggs makes? Constipation. That's what it makes.
Don't know why you'd skip an egg day.
What have you been up to, Sophie?
I've been doing interviews for new housemates. I don't want housemates, but the alternative is being alone with myself, so it's really hard finding people. There was one girl that seemed like really great. We were talking, and then at the end of the interview, she was like, oh, by the way, I take acid. She was like, this isn't a house of squares, is it?
Would she like to live with me? OK, first up. Let's sit back and enjoy the death of the United States. This week, Kamala Harris briefly became the first female president as Joe Biden had a medical procedure. In another first, it was the first time the surgeons had to wake someone up to give them the anaesthetic. Why would you need to put a camera inside Joe Biden? He's practically translucent. His skin's like a Vietnamese spring roll. If he was a bag of mince, you'd chuck him out just to be on the safe side. Times are tough for the US. COVID threatens the American way of life. How are you supposed to carry out a workplace shooting on Zoom? Joining us to discuss both motions tonight, please welcome Rob Delaney.
Hello, everybody.
How you doing, man? Thanks for coming.
I'm doing well, thank you. Yeah, I heard you want to talk about the death of the United States. I mean, I think it's in fine shape, and frankly, I'll be shocked if you're able to gather any clips that convince me otherwise.
There's this whole thing, wasn't there, in the last election, which was like, well, elect Biden because then at least you can hold his feet to the flames on his progressive promises and we can get something to happen there. But that doesn't really seem to be happening. It seems to be all be bogged down.
You know, there are some things in the Build Back Better bill that are a positive step forward, but I mean, the Senate is so horrifically backwards, and the Supreme Court are not, you know, representative of what the bulk of Americans want. So yeah, America could die, but it'll be despite the fact that there are plenty, of course, of wonderful Americans.
I mean, I think there's an element of just sort of schadenfreude from you, Frankie, because you've never really, I mean, you look forward to the death of the United States because you've never really gotten over the War of Independence, have you? You're such a big fan of British imperialism, hence the flags in your house. And
yes, it's always been a blow. And also, I've never really cracked America, despite never having played there.
I wouldn't give up on that dream. I think I can see you, you know, you might be rude about them. The minute you got offered, you know, some sort of sitcom role, like a sort of quirky, sort of sassy neighbour across the hall.
I could be a gay best friend.
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Or if they do like old Sheldon. Look, it's easy to point fun at the United States and make fun of it. I do it all the time. But the only things that are better about the UK is the NHS and the absence of guns. Other than that, this is very similar toilets.
You've got to have optimism as well, haven't you? Because there's no point to not having optimism. I know that sounds strange.
People, what is happening? What is happening?
Sorry, have you mistaken my comedy character for my real views?
Did 3 ghosts visit you? What's happening?
But it's like Pascal's gambit, isn't it? So Pascal said, you might as well believe in God, because either he's there or he's not, and he's probably going to be pretty annoyed if you chose not to believe in him, right? So you might as well hope for the best, even though the reality is probably Trump will come back and do his next 4 years in a fucking toga. Anyway, it's easy to think of America as a nation of morbidly obese morons addicted to oil, chicken and war. But let's not forget, these are real human beings, and I don't like to joke about human frailty. I prefer drawing cartoons of it and selling limited edition prints at humanfrailty.tv to help pay for my spiralling porn addiction. Here's a grim glimpse of how real Americans are reacting to the COVID pandemic in some high-definition, low-IQ footage from a revealing Florida school board meeting.
So many things went through my head coming up here. I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would think, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that. Because I'm so shocked as a mother that we all collectively have to come up here again and again. All we want is the best for our children. We love our children. We are not afraid. If you're afraid, put the mask on your child. Keep your child at home. Go to a school that has masks. Maybe the reason why we have people in the hospitals, all this mask wearing. Did we ever think of that? Did we ever think of that? I love my children and
Your next speaker, please.
I also ask that you sit down with your children. Children are much smarter than we give them credit for. And I want to give you this. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they express inside. Give them a sense.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
How you doing? My name is Brian Biggs. Biggs, B-I-G-G-S, not Briggs. I want to talk about the real pandemic, child sex trafficking. By putting masks on these kids' face, you can't identify any of them. So by the 9 of you already voting on this, tells me you guys support sex trafficking.
Hey, sir, you're out of order.
Good.
I mean, if that was how my PTA meetings were, I would go. Like, if it was...
Frankie, I mean, you're one of my favorite comedians I've ever seen in my life, but I think we can both agree that it's very likely that you'll die without ever doing anything as funny as that song.
I mean, were I to stand up at a PTA meeting and start singing Whitney Houston, I mean, what would people think? People would think he has got pipes.
She looked like Whitney Houston would look if she'd stayed in the bath.
Whatever happened to that spirit of optimism, Frankie?
They all the genres of people who haggle at charity shops. And like the stuff they go through as well. So there's like a dramatic monologue, and then there's a bad song, and then there's a guy sort of dancing around the idea of stand-up with sunglasses on his head. It's literally racist accent away from being my school talent show. Like, it's all there.
I think they want to be discovered. Like, that's the reason the guy at the end, he was like, it's Biggs, B-I-G-G-S, not Briggs, because he wants people to know his handle. Also, the amount at which he was angry at, like, the potential misspelling of his name was almost equal to the child sex trafficking.
I always loved Sesame Street and the Muppets, perhaps because, like a Muppet, I'm only truly animated when I've got a man's fist up my backside. However, Conservative commentator Eric Bolling is not such a fan, as we see in this typically forthright and bizarre segment on Newsmax.
Just this week, Big Bird from Sesame Street indoctrinating our 5-year-olds. Get vaccinated.
Yes, it's time to go, Big Bird.
All right. Anyway, then the giant pigeon took to Twitter to announce to everyone how it felt about getting the shot. Not the first time these little felt communists have tried to infect the minds of our youngest and most vulnerable children. A decade ago, way back in 2011, I called out Kermit, that cute little green monster commie. Well, here's what happened. The Muppets were blaming an oil baron for closing down the studio. That's cute, you little oppressive Muppets. They didn't even try to hide their disdain for success by naming the guy Tex Richmond. But I took them to task. Just want to say, listen, Froggy, what's his name? Kermit. Miss Piggy, if you want to debate this anytime, I'm all for it. Me calling them out didn't sit well with one portly pink dummy who took to the media to trash me for exposing her leftist tyranny.
Yeah. What's as laughable as accusing Fox News as, being news.
Guess what? The invite's still open, Miss Piggy. If you or your emasculated frog boyfriend, Kermit, ever want to join this desk, it's free.
I mean, in a way, I would love to lose it so much that I got in a decade-long political argument with a sock. Also, he said an emasculated frog about Kermit. It's not like Kermit the Frog had a cock and balls that were taken off at some point.
That's supposition on your part, Frankie. They may have had an absolute disastrous pilot episode. The frog is funny, but we can all see his genitals.
I like how he's like, let him roll the clip where I don't even make sense. Now show the one where Miss Piggy tells a pretty good joke. Whose side you on now?
His apple pie, served in a school cafeteria, being raped with gunfire by a disgruntled incel. Here's a gloriously unrestrained political ad from gun-obsessed Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Joe Biden abandoned Americans in Afghanistan, got 13 of our best soldiers killed, and armed an Islamic terrorist nation with $83 billion in weapons, like this one. Biden should be impeached. Now I'm doing a gun giveaway of my own, but for Americans only. I want you to win this .50 caliber rifle that Democrats will ban. And in 2022, I'm going to blow away the Democrat socialist agenda.
If you ever date a mine who entered that contest and you find my name, I don't support her agenda, but I do want to blow up a car in that manner.
I like that it was a Prius.
Oh, God.
She does make Joe Biden sound like he's been really busy, though. He's ticked off all of these things. We all thought he was just going to summits and napping, but he's done all of these things.
I like the idea that no Taliban are allowed to enter, and that you have to click a little form going, I am not a Taliban. Click on the pictures of two men kissing.
Yeah. I'm not saying she doesn't have issues, but doesn't she also seem quite fun?
Yes. Hindus would be better if she was organising them.
In spite of all its problems, I believe America has a bright future ahead of it. As bright as the nuclear detonation of 1,000 Chinese warheads. Current bookie's favourite for the 2024 election is decomposing skid-mark Donald Trump. Here he is delivering a typically demented ramble at a recent Save America branded rally in Georgia.
Biden surrendered our forts and air base in Bagram. You know, we were going to keep the air base because it's right next to China. And their military institutions and their installations, and they have a lot of things surrounding it. And we had this big, beautiful air base that cost billions of dollars to build. And we were gone. We didn't even turn out the lights. And one day we were gone. And you know who's looking at it now and who's all over it? China! We were never leaving that. We had a perfect plan, and they were listening to us. Abdul, you can't shoot our soldiers. And that's why you have those 13 empty seats right there. That's why. Because they took the military out first, and they created a void, and the Taliban said, what's going on? The military has left. He said, you're nuts, in their language. There's no way. They've surrendered. They've quit, whatever the hell he said. You know, they're good fighters. The Taliban, the Afghans generally are very good fighters. Very good, among the best, actually.
It's like those videos of kids coming around from anaesthetic after the dentists.
You know when you, don't know how to say a word properly, and so you say it the first time and you mispronounce it, but no one corrects you, and then you just keep saying it again and again wrong. I think that's what's happened with him in China.
You're right. He's quoting himself.
Yeah, and I
when
think
he
that
says
everyone around him just does that because it's less awkward than telling him how to say it.
What angers me here is this shows how complicit the media is to just show his speeches all the time, which are so riddled with lies, because he campaigned, before he was president, on getting out of Afghanistan. The troop drawdown and withdrawal from Afghanistan that Joe Biden finished was something that was started by his administration. And now he's so genuinely politically gifted that he's taken the temperature of people who hate Biden and being like, oh, wait, that's something we can pin on him?
Yeah, I mean, I think when he comes back, as I suspect he will, it's going to be terrible.
Well, that's when you've got to be careful when people come back. That's often when it's worse. You know, they've gone away and thought about it. Germany with world wars, take that.
So, I think we're all feeling very positive about America. Next up, soon COVID, the economy and climate will all be sorted out by the destruction of humanity in an all-consuming apocalypse. To all the young people watching, I say this: don't worry, the coronavirus isn't going to kill you. The virus that kills you won't exist for many years yet, and you'll catch it from the communal chapstick you use in winter to stop your lips freezing to the steel penis of a sex robot. One with such sophisticated AI that it's become jaded and now requires near constant fluffing before it can service its rich clients in the towers that block the sun from your humble burrow. I'm so worried about nuclear war, I've got my family locked in a bunker. I say my family, our family. The apocalypse is coming, and if you don't believe that, then you simply haven't searched YouTube using the words James Corden mouse costume. Are you worried about the apocalypse?
One of the reasons I moved back to Wales, I was like, I'm ready for this. Like, if it happens, I just feel very confident about drinking my own urine in the countryside. I feel like that's my time to shine. It wasn't school, it wasn't uni, it's not this. So...
We should be so lucky to get the apocalypse is how I feel. Like, I wish we would get to, but we won't. I think climate apartheid, I think, is a real possibility. But anything dramatic and special, we just don't deserve it, I don't think. Because I think aspects of the apocalypse would be fun. Therefore, it'll be withheld from us.
It might not be a sudden event, yeah, as you say. It might be a sort of petering out, not with a bang, not with, might just suddenly think, I don't think I've seen any neighbours for 3 years.
Like, I want to be able to say the world's going to end in 2 months, roughly. Use that time.
Well, what would you use that time for?
Take acid.
As you know, I've always worried about the Large Hadron Collider, which could crush the Earth to the size of 2 football fields. And also, what worries me is it's supposed to be completely sealed, and they found a ferret in there. Right? And I worry that this ferret came from another dimension as an ambassador to try and warn us. Like, switch off the... and someone just killed it with a fucking broom.
I mean, to me, that sounds like a classic nerd prank.
That was probably what his last words were. I'm not a nerd prank. In ancient times, the great spirit of the Comanche people turned his face to the four winds of the future, saw the coming plague of the white man, and buried his fury deep in the earth. That vengeance is now ripe and ready to return in the form of a supervolcano under Yellowstone National Park. Here's an alarming, graphic-laden guide to the devastation that would be caused if the caldera erupts.
Many seismologists estimate that there could be substantial earthquakes preceding any blast at Yellowstone that would last for weeks or even months beforehand as rock below gets broken up by magma as it surges further and further up towards the surface. Here, pressure would continue building and building and building and with increasing intensity until, with nowhere left to go, the magma would explode through the ground in a cataclysmic eruption. Basically, if you're looking at this map, everything in blue would be completely wiped out. Everything in purple would be highly damaged. Everything in orange would be sort of damaged. And everything in yellow would be mildly damaged. The North American continent would take a pretty significant bruise.
I mean, it's rare we have a good news story on this show.
Well, he's got a remarkably upbeat tone of voice, hasn't he? Anyway, it's going to be flying thousands of feet into the air and covering the whole place with loads of ash. Whoops. Come down to Paul Air Carpets this Bank Holiday Monday.
The bit with the lava looked like a kind of Acne ad from the 80s.
Yeah. What colour bit would you want to be in?
I'd like to be like in the second ring so I could be like, no, what?
Well, I think it sort of usually goes off every 600,000 years, and it last went off 601,000 years ago.
It really feels like divine punishment, and it feels like it's our fault that that's happening. I thought of an analogy while I was watching it, but like, have you ever made someone achieve orgasm?
No.
Could you break this down for us?
What are you even talking about?
I'm sorry to introduce you to new ideas. Like, if you made someone achieve orgasm and then immediately regretted it because the way that they orgasm is demonic. So we've been like fucking the earth because it feels so good, but when the earth comes, it's like, whoa!
How should you prepare for the apocalypse? Was a question I often ask my crossbow instructor. I intend to ride out the cataclysm in a community. Perhaps I'll become a therapist dealing in a new kind of profound post-apocalyptic trauma. So, you wore another man's skin to make love to his wife. I wonder what that says about your relationship with your father, seeing as it was his skin. Here's a sunny yet sinister glimpse into a band of cheerful hillbillies showing off their folksy plans for the end times.
We're already in a sort of doomsday event. I mean, like, it's hitting the fan around us.
Do you want me to do that?
We've been very busy out collecting apples for doing our cider pressing. How this process works is you throw them into this hopper and it grinds them. You just keep turning and turning and turning. You see the cider comes out the bottom here. If a crisis happened, we could barter. It'd be very, very valuable.
Let me see how it is. Keep loading, keep loading.
Some people say, oh, I just want to have guns. And frankly, I think that's pretty stupid. Marauding bands come, I'll show them how much great food I've got, I'll invite them to some sort of feast and charm them, and then if I decide that they could be useful and cooperative, great. And otherwise, I'll poison them or cut their throats in their sleep or something like that.
I sort of feel he'd glossed over how tricky it would be to charm a marauding band and let you cook them a feast.
Frankly, I find no fault with anything in that video, and I'm very likely to join them.
I came away from that being like, sign me up, and I'll settle down with that topless boy with curly hair.
He was ripped.
He was so ripped.
That whole family was under a delusion. At least one of them was an alcoholic. We're not really preppers, we're just stockpiling so much booze.
Maybe the whole thing is a trick. So they're like, yeah, we've not got any guns. We've just got all this, like, cider and stuff. And then when the Marauders come, they're like, Marauders, prepare the marinade. If you're a member of the global elite, you must feel about as relaxed about the collapse of society as Prince Andrew feels driving through tunnels. No wonder then that super-rich doomsday dodgers are investing in high-spec underground bunkers, as we see in this claustrophobic and startling report.
From the outside, the security cameras, armoured guard and 8-ton steel doors are the only sign you're entering a top-secret facility.
Okay, let's get down and show you what's underground.
Okay. Oh.
You're not in Kansas anymore.
The survival condo is spread across 15 floors and goes 200 feet underground, with luxury living quarters spread across the next 7 floors. At the bottom, a further 4 floors house a classroom, a library, a bar, a gym, and a cinema.
This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath unit.
And most importantly, even though I'm 11 stories underground, I've still got a window.
This is an indoor shooting range. You can come down here and shoot everything from handguns up to .308 caliber sniper rifles in here.
That whole thing makes rotting in a coffin look so appealing to me.
When that guy was like, you're not in Kansas anymore, I wasn't sure if he was doing like a cute bit, like referencing the movie, or if it was a legal warning. He was like, consent doesn't apply, 3 stories down.
I didn't trust him at all.
He looked like the sort of man that would install 14 stories down a ferret flap and not tell anyone. There's windows that are showing sort of nice sunny scenes and things like that, and like just breeze in a field. You'd think, if you've paid all that money because it's the end of days, you'd want the windows to sort of show like the world burning outside, so that you think, well, at least I've got my money's worth. Do you know what I mean?
Also, that breaks down in a week and it's like error 404 or something. Well, that's the end of the show. Thanks to my guests, Miles Jupp, Sophie Duker, Kerry Pritchard, McLean, and Rob Delaney. But before I go, I'd like to leave you with this thought. Of course, no one knows for sure when this civilization will come to an end. It could be literally any time between June and September next year. However, there is some good news. By good, I mean catastrophic. Like when I say I'm good in bed. In reality, my lovemaking is at best unsettling and at worst blasphemous. But now, thanks in no small part to the global financial markets, we can bask in the unfettered, joyous knowledge that there's no future for humanity. And without a future, money becomes meaningless. I recently noticed for the first time the wording on one of the £50 notes I was counting off onto an exhausted and, I dare say, perplexed rent boy's bedside table. I promise to pay the bearer. Every banknote is a promise, but in a world with no future, a promise is just a lie, like the promises you make to a hitchhiker. The coming apocalypse will collapse the grand fiction of global capital. We will inhabit a world without promise, without hope, without meaning. A world that's almost impossible to imagine if you've never been to Dundee. Here's my advice. Invest your money now while it still has value, but not in tinned food, guns, generators, or abuse bunkers. I mean, who hasn't already got enough of those? No, if you want to thrive in the post-collapse economy, you need to invest in plastic surgery and physical augmentation. In this raw and visceral economy, wealth will be measured in bodily prowess. Hand jobs will be the new currency. So if you can get your big toe surgically reattached to give you a prehensile foot grip, you can double your money. Get a plastic surgeon to add 2 rows of serviceable vaginas up your back and turn your torso into a sex flute. Then, assuming your plastic surgeon hasn't been struck off yet, get a ring of 6 or 7 anuses added to each thigh like a fuckable garter. And a stiff crop of cocks around each wrist, so that while your back and thighs are being hammered, you can reach out of the heaving clusterfuck to bring off passers-by. Within weeks, you will become rich beyond your wildest nightmares. Good night.
It was wonderful that is since the Amazon shine, Austin Nova, you're a ball sign, 90 deep in the woods on ayahuasca. Burn me out the forest, and you're more
more hairier than Chuck Norris. Try to control my fate? I'll have a talk with your mom after I'm done with the carrot cake. I'm gonna beat him in the Coliseum. A cat will be the witness of my outstanding fitness, shuffling on him like Ali. Then they'll try to shuffle like me. What a sight to see. Because I don't fight, I eat chips and watch a lot of kung fu flicks. Way of the Dragon be my profile pic.